5,000 years ago, someone hauled 25-ton stones across 150 miles. No cranes, no trucks. They aligned them with a precision rivaling modern instruments. And then vanished. No blueprints, no explanations. Why? Stonehenge remains the most studied ancient mystery on Earth. Thousands of papers, hundreds of theories. And yet, the deeper we dig, the more questions arise. Why were the stones brought specifically from Wales when local quarries lay much closer? Why do they resonate at frequencies capable of altering human consciousness? How did people of the Bronze Age achieve astronomical accuracy that still astonishes today's engineers? Archaeologists have argued for decades. Each school has its own version. Each expert, their own truth. But today, within this new investigation, we will attempt something different. We will ask artificial intelligence to analyze every existing theory, without bias, without reverence for authority, only facts, logic, and calculation. We won't just raise questions. We will ask AI to step into the role of an ancient builder, to become a participant in the events, and most importantly, to assign a clear verdict to each theory. Not possible, not likely, but precise percentages. From ancient observatory to gateway between dimensions. From healing center to the explanation, archaeologists rarely dare to mention aloud. AI has examined them all. Some conclusions align with official science, others challenge it. And the final verdict was more surprising than we expected. What follows is an investigation like no other. Before we can grasp what Stonehenge is, we must first ask why it stands here. Salisbury Plain, an empty field. The nearest usable stone is hundreds of miles away. No rivers for transport. By any practical logic, the worst place to build. And yet, 5,000 years ago, someone decided the monument had to stand here. Why? In 1995, archaeologists powered up ground-penetrating radar for a routine check. The instruments revealed something astonishing. 15 additional stone circles beneath the surface. Stonehenge was only the tip of the iceberg, a complex the size of 10 football fields, preserved underground for millennia. Why build something like this in the middle of nowhere? Within a 19-mile radius, hundreds of burials have been found. People traced to the Mediterranean, the Alps, even Africa. They traveled for months to reach this plain. Many arrived already ill, and many came knowing they would not return. What drew them here? We asked AI to analyze the site, to identify what makes this ground unique. Salisbury Plain is a natural anomaly, the only location in Britain with a full 360-degree horizon. Subsurface water creates an acoustic resonator. Geological faults generate electromagnetic fields. The probability of all these factors aligning by chance is less than 1/10,000th of 1%. The AI added, whoever chose this site was seeking a point with specific properties, a point of contact. Contact with what? The bluestones of the inner ring were hauled from 150 miles away. They resonate near 110 Hz, a frequency that can shift the brain toward a trance state. Someone, 5 millennia ago, understood those properties and built here. What exactly? The AI analyzed 147 hypotheses about Stonehenge, from academic proposals to those spoken only in whispers. Screening criteria, a solid empirical basis, the ability to explain every anomaly, and historical resilience. 5 theories passed the filter. Each received a precise probability. These theories are not mutually exclusive, the AI noted. Stonehenge could have been all of them at once. But the 5th was different. It took longer to process, and its verdict was unconventional enough to force a rethink of the entire investigation. We'll go in order, starting with the explanation that best accounts for the site choice, the stone's properties, and the people who crossed a continent to reach this plain. The explanation that led the AI for the first time to use the word portal. The first theory sounds insane. Stonehenge is a portal. Science fiction? The AI doesn't think so. And you're about to see why. Remember the blue stones that were dragged from 150 miles away? They're rich in quartz, the same mineral used in watches. When quartz is compressed, it generates electricity. A small charge, but still a charge. Why would ancient people need electric stones? They didn't know about electricity. Or did they? In 2013, researchers discovered something strange. When struck, these stones ring at a frequency of exactly 110 hertz. Not 109, not 111. Exactly 110. What's special about that frequency? It shifts brain activity. Logical thought fades. Something else switches on. Intuition, visions, altered states of consciousness. One fact remains. 110 hertz changes perception. And here's what's remarkable. The ancient temples of Malta, 110 hertz. The tombs of Ireland, the same. The pyramids of Mexico, again, 110. Coincidence, or fragments of one shared knowledge scattered across the planet? We asked AI to imagine. If Stonehenge is a portal, how would it work? Here's the answer. The stones are arranged like an antenna array. The circles amplify resonance. The quartz stores and releases energy. When activated, by sound, ritual, or a specific moment in time, the system generates a field. What does that field do? Possibilities. It distorts space, sends a signal, or alters perception. The construction is technically feasible nonsense. Then explain the facts. Stonehenge has lines that point to nowhere. Not to stars, not to planets, just into emptiness. Archaeologists can't explain them. But what if something was there 5,000 years ago? Compasses at Stonehenge behave erratically. The needle spins or points randomly. It happens regularly. Guides know. Tourists are startled. 19 miles away sits Porton Down, a secret military base. Coincidence? Or do the military know more than they admit? 1971. A youth festival, a thunderstorm. Several people independently reported a blue glow between the stones, not lightning. The glow coming from the stones themselves. Police took statements. No explanation was found. The AI noted another detail. Stonehenge stands on intersecting geological faults, points where Earth's energy emerges, magnetic anomalies, micro-distortions of gravity. How did ancient people find this spot without instruments? Did they sense it, or were they shown? We asked the AI directly. Taking all the facts together, the quartz, the 110 hertz frequency, the magnetic anomalies, the fault lines. What is the probability this is a portal? The AI checked each fact. Quartz generates electricity. Proven. 110 hertz affects the brain. Confirmed. Anomalies documented. The verdict, 22%. Too many coincidences for chance. Each factor on its own is explainable, but all of them together in one place is statistically anomalous. The ancients found or created a point with unique properties. Did they call it a portal? Likely. Does it work as a portal? Insufficient data. Then the AI added a thought that raised goosebumps. If this is a communication device, we're only the receiver. The transmitter requires an activation we've forgotten 22%. 1 in 5 odds that Stonehenge is more than a monument. Too little, or enough to justify a secret military base nearby. There is another version, more logical, but no less unsettling. What if Stonehenge is an ancient computer for predicting disasters? The second theory looks more scientific, but no less unsettling. Stonehenge as an ancient computer, a stone machine built to predict disasters. In 1963, astronomer Gerald Hawkins shocked the world. Using an IBM computer, he demonstrated that Stonehenge could predict eclipses centuries in advance, accurate to the very day. How? Through a system everyone had seen, but no one had understood. Around the perimeter lie 56 mysterious depressions, known as the Aubrey Holes. For centuries, No one knew why empty pits surrounded the circle of stones. Hawkins cracked the code. They were part of a counting machine. By moving markers around the circle, ancient astronomers could track the 18.6-year lunar cycle, the very cycle that governs eclipses. 56 holes equal 3 cycles of 18.6 years. A perfect scheme for long-term calculations. But why would the Bronze Age need to know eclipses centuries in advance? We asked AI to step into the role of an ancient astronomer. You see a cosmic threat approaching. How would you use Stonehenge to warn those who come after you? The response was chilling. The stones are eternal clocks. They outlast languages, cultures, civilizations. Through shadows and alignments, you can encode not only calendars, but warnings. When a certain configuration of stars returns, so does the danger. An asteroid, a comet, or a solar storm. Fantasy. In 2015, just 2 miles from Stonehenge, archaeologists unearthed a golden disk with a star map dating back to 1600 BC. It depicted a configuration of stars that repeats only once every 6,000 years. Why record such a vast cycle? Professor Mike Parker Pearson noted, the builders were obsessed with the sky. Not like priests, but like astronomers, tracking hazardous objects around 2200 BC. Stonehenge had just been completed. And then, a global catastrophe. Abrupt cooling. Egypt plunged into crisis. The Akkadian Empire collapsed. The Indus civilization disappeared, cause unknown. One possibility, the impact of a comet or asteroid. Imagine, ancient astronomers see a celestial object on a collision course. They know impact is inevitable, and they build a warning system for the survivors. For us, by AI's calculations, the margin of error in Stonehenge's alignments is less than half a degree, more precise than the Egyptian pyramids. Impossible without instruments, which means either they possessed knowledge we underestimate, or they had help. From whom? The analysis went further. The great trilithons, the massive arches at the center, form windows for observation. Some are aligned not with present-day targets, but with points that would become important 1,000 years later. The builders were planning millennia ahead. In 1997, astronomer Duncan Steele proposed a hypothesis. Stonehenge tracks the Taurid meteor stream, the remains of a giant comet. Every few thousand years, Earth passes through its densest debris. The next dangerous encounter, he warned, falls between 2030 and 2040. So we asked AI directly, what is the probability Stonehenge was an astronomical calculator for predicting disasters? The conclusion, celestial precision, proven. Eclipse prediction, confirmed. Orientation to long cycles, documented. Verdict, between 45 and 50%. Too precise for a simple temple, too complex for a farmer's calendar. But the specific threat its builders tracked remains unknown. And then came another thought, one that lingered like a warning. If this was a system of caution, and the next event is due between 2030 and 2040, then we have less than 20 years to decode the stone code. This theory was not born among archaeologists, but among physicists. Stonehenge as a generator. An ancient power plant. Pseudoscience. Let's stick to the facts. In 2012, researchers ran an acoustic experiment. A drum was struck inside the circle. The sound did not simply echo. It hung in the air. A standing wave. The stones amplified and sustained the vibration, creating a physical pressure felt through the body. At the frequency of 110 Hertz, the entire Stonehenge structure resonates like a single instrument, the very frequency we've already encountered. So we asked, if Stonehenge was an energy installation, how would it work? The AI reconstructed a version. The stone circles form a closed loop. Any vibration, wind, footsteps, voices, becomes trapped and amplified. The quartz in the blue stones converts those mechanical vibrations into electrical impulses. The system collects scattered energy and concentrates it. Sounds unbelievable. Yet in 2018, geologists discovered that Stonehenge sits directly on the crossing of two underground faults, zones known to generate natural electrical currents. Could the ancients have known, or at least sensed it? Inside the circle, odd things still happen. Phones drain quickly. Mechanical watches lose time. In 2008, during a BBC live broadcast, the signal cut out 3 times in 1 hour with no clear cause. Researcher Paul Devereaux recorded ultrasound at dawn. His instrument spiked exactly when the first rays of sunlight touched the stones. It was as if the stones were waking up, he said. Thermal expansion. Perhaps. But why is the effect so strong here and not elsewhere? Further analysis suggested the underground waters beneath Stonehenge are part of the mechanism. Water conducts electricity. The water table rises and falls with the seasons, reaching its peak at the winter solstice, precisely when thousands gather at the stones. Coincidence? Or a memory of the time when this machine operated at full power? The blue stones also contain magnetite, a natural magnet. 80 such magnets, arranged in a deliberate pattern, placed directly over points of electromagnetic anomaly, all tuned to the same resonant frequency. But why would the people of the Bronze Age need energy? Some researchers suggest it was used in rituals to induce altered states of consciousness. Others believe the vibrations and magnetic fields could have served practical purposes, perhaps in working with metals. And some see the beginnings of ancient medicine, since the effects of fields on the human body can still be felt today. Interestingly, many visitors with arthritis have reported pain relief after being inside Stonehenge. Placebo? Possibly. But the fact is documented. So we asked directly, what is the probability Stonehenge was an energy generator? The AI's conclusion was clear. Quartz generates electricity. Proven. Resonance at 110 Hz, measured. Magnetic anomalies and fault lines, confirmed. Verdict, between 22 and 27%. As an acoustic resonator, yes, it functions. As an energy accumulator, possible. But the full chain from generation to application is not evident. More likely, the energetic effects were secondary, not the primary goal, 1 chance in 4. Too little? Or enough to make us reconsider forgotten technologies? And now imagine, if energy really was being produced, what could it have been used for? There is one version even more extraordinary. Stonehenge may have been built for healing. This theory is the most human, and perhaps the closest to the truth. Stonehenge as an ancient medical center, a place of healing. In 2008, archaeologists studied the burials around the monument. They found that most of those interred suffered from severe illnesses and injuries, fractures, tumors, bone deformities. But the most striking detail, these were not locals. The people had come from Germany, France, the Mediterranean. They traveled thousands of miles, often while already sick and in pain. For what? For a circle of stones. The explanation may lie within the stones themselves. The blue stones were brought from Wales, from locations still known for springs with healing waters. Legend. Analysis revealed the water contains minerals with antibacterial properties. The ancients believed, move the stones and you carry their power with them. Superstition. There are also facts. Remember the 110 Hz frequency? Modern research has proven that it stimulates the production of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, and accelerates tissue repair. In 2019, an experiment was conducted. Volunteers meditated inside a replica of Stonehenge under exposure to 110 Hz. 70% reported a reduction in chronic pain. MRI scans showed changes in brain regions linked to pain perception. Coincidence? Perhaps, but the effect was documented. The acoustics of Stonehenge create what scientists call a sound massage. Low frequencies penetrate deep into tissue, improving blood flow. That is physics, not mysticism. In 2020, pits near the site were found containing remains of herbs brought from all over Britain. Stonehenge may have been a center of ancient medical knowledge. We asked AI to simulate. What happens to a person inside the activated circle? The conclusion was clear. The resonance of the stones generates a vibrational field. The frequency of 110 Hz synchronizes brainwaves. Electromagnetic fields from the fault lines affect the nervous system. Together, these factors place a person in a state where pain diminishes, the mind clears, and the body relaxes. Fantasy? In 2021, researchers found microscopic particles of gold in the teeth of one of the buried, as if he had drunk water infused with metal. Even today, colloidal gold is used to treat arthritis. Coincidence? Or a trace of forgotten medicine? Professor Mike Parker Pearson suggested a darker interpretation. Stonehenge was a place between life and the end. Those who found relief left. The others remained forever. This explains why the site contains more cremated remains than any other in Britain at that time. And even today, many visitors report strange sensations. Dizziness, euphoria, relief from pain, especially those with migraines or arthritis. So we asked directly, what is the probability Stonehenge was used for healing? AI's verdict: the effects of 110 Hz on the body, proven. The healing properties of the springs where the stones came from, confirmed. The high percentage of the sick among the buried, undeniable. Verdict: between 35 and 40%. Not a hospital in the modern sense, but a place where natural forces could ease suffering and, in some cases, heal. Belief and the journey itself amplified the effect 40%. Nearly half. Of all the hypotheses, this one carries the strongest weight of evidence, but ahead lies the final theory, the most controversial and the most disturbing. What if Stonehenge was not built by choice, but by force? This is the theory that even made the algorithm pause before answering. Stonehenge was built by people, but not by their own design. Sounds like science fiction. The numbers tell a different story. In 2018, engineers calculated that its construction required no less than 30 million man-hours. The entire population of Britain 5,000 years ago was around 100,000, including the elderly and children. That means every person in the country would have had to work 300 hours. Perfect organization. No errors, no downtime. For comparison, the Empire State Building in New York was erected in 7 million man-hours, with cranes, steel, and modern machinery. How could tribes just learning to plow fields complete a project on the scale of a 20th century megastructure? And then there's the shape. Seen from above, Stonehenge is a perfect marker. Concentric circles, precise lines. A universal symbol of intelligent life. The very kind of pattern scientists draw first when sending a message to the stars. Coincidence? In 1969, NASA noted that Stonehenge is one of the few ancient structures clearly visible from space. The pyramids blend into the desert. The Great Wall disappears into the landscape. Stonehenge stands out. So we asked, if this is a beacon, who is it signaling? The algorithm reasoned, stone was chosen for a reason. It is eternal. Wood rots, metal corrodes. Stone endures for millennia. If you need a mark visible from space for ages, this is the ideal medium. Then came the clarification that unsettled us. The form of Stonehenge is not a cultural emblem. It is a mathematical message. It declares, here dwell beings who understand geometry, astronomy, and physics. Most troubling of all are the builder's hidden calculations. Encoded within the monument are the value of pi, the length of the solar year accurate to the minute, and even the precession cycle of Earth's axis, 26,000 years. Such knowledge requires centuries of observation. How could a Neolithic society possess it? Even Gerald Hawkins, the astronomer who first demonstrated Stonehenge's astronomical functions, admitted late in life. The more I study this monument, the stronger the feeling. Its builders knew things they should not have known. There is another anomaly. Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Angkor Wat, Easter Island, all lie along a single line encircling the planet at an angle of 30 degrees to the equator. The probability of random alignment? Less than 1/100th of 1%. Was someone mapping the Earth? In 2020, a radio telescope detected an unusual signal. Its coordinates matched Stonehenge. The monument itself was not transmitting. It was an echo in the ionosphere. Scientists attributed it to an atmospheric anomaly. But why exactly there? We asked directly. What is the probability Stonehenge was built under external instructions? The answer: the scale of the project is far beyond its era. The builder's knowledge is inexplicable. Its placement within a planetary grid is statistically improbable. Human hands built it, but the idea itself. Verdict: between 8 and 12%. And the AI added a final thought. This does not necessarily mean aliens with blueprints. It may point to a forgotten predecessor civilization, or to knowledge received through visions and altered states of consciousness. But even if the chance were only 1%, it would warrant investigation. At 12%, it demands concern, because it means we do not understand our own history. 1 chance in 8. Stonehenge, not just a monument, but perhaps the imprint of another intelligence or a forgotten world. Too little or far too much for a peaceful night's sleep. 5 theories, 5 possibilities, from a portal to a cosmic beacon. Now comes the final question. We asked AI to strip away all bias, to connect every fact, every anomaly, every coincidence, and to answer, what was Stonehenge really built for? The system processed the data longer than usual. Then it delivered a conclusion that overturned our entire perspective. You are looking for a single purpose. But Stonehenge is not one of these things. It is all of them, at once. The AI explained through an unexpected analogy. Show a smartphone to someone from the past. They might see a mirror, a source of light, a music box, a window into another world. All correct, and all true at the same time. Stonehenge was the universal knowledge hub of the Stone Age. An astronomical calendar, proven, 45 to 50% probability. It predicted eclipses, tracked seasons, and recorded cycles. An acoustic resonator, functioning, 22 to 27%. The frequency of 110 Hz alters consciousness, creates trance, and perhaps even heals. A place of power and healing, supported, 35 to 40%. People crossed continents seeking relief, knowledge, and transformation. A portal, a beacon, external instructions, not excluded. Between 8 and 22%. A small number, but far too high to dismiss. The AI wove them together. Stonehenge was built as an astronomical ritual complex, a place where science merged with belief, astronomy with magic, knowledge with power. Its builders understood. Control of time is control of people. To predict an eclipse is to speak with the voice of the gods. But the knowledge of its creators surpassed the limits of their age. Where it came from, that remains a mystery with no answer. Final verdict. Between 67 and 72%. We understand Stonehenge's purpose up to 72%. And the remaining 28%? This is the space of the unknown. Functions we cannot yet grasp. It is possible Stonehenge still operates today. We simply lack the key to read its signals. The AI ended with a thought worth remembering. Every era sees in Stonehenge only what it can comprehend. The Middle Ages, the work of giants. The Enlightenment, a druidic temple. The 20th century, an observatory. The 21st, a computer. What will the 22nd century see? Perhaps the truth Stonehenge has stood for 5,000 years, a silent guardian of forgotten knowledge. A stone code we are only beginning to decipher. 28% of its mystery remains in shadow. And maybe that is how it should be, because a riddle fully solved is no longer a riddle. Now the question is yours. Which version convinces you most? Stonehenge as a calendar, a temple, a healing center, a cosmic beacon, or all of them at once? Share your thoughts in the comments. Perhaps your vision will become part of this eternal story.